On a day where the game of baseball lost an absolute legend, the Angels lose an absolute heartbreaker. We'll discuss the 6-3 defeat, and we'll honor Willie Mays on tonight's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live, as always, after every single Angels game here on the Locked On Los Angeles YouTube channel and after the fact, wherever you get your Locked On Angels podcast feed. What a heartbreaker for our Angels tonight on Tuesday night. In what looked like a complete laying of an egg, a 6-0 deficit going into the ninth inning turns into 3 runs in the ninth, the tying run coming up to bat in Taylor Ward, but an absolute heartbreaking end as what looked like a game-tying 3-run home run from Taylor Ward is robbed by Sal Frelick at the wall. We also lost an absolute legend in Willie Mays. Really hits home for anyone who likes this sport, especially for someone like me who grew up a Giants fan who actually has a signed ball by Willie Mays. I'm wearing my Giants gear today. Of course, I'm an Angel fan, but grew up watching the Giants, grew up being taught all about Willie Mays. So certainly on today's show, we will end by honoring Willie Mays, but we will also discuss what was an otherwise disappointing performance from the Angels through the first 8 innings, both in the field, thanks to Jo Adell for the most part, and the hitting did not show up, of course, till the ninth inning. But we will start by discussing that comeback attempt in the ninth inning. Shout out to everybody in here. As always, Jeff in here, he said, why did they want to challenge that last out? I'm happy we won't get swept. Once again, Jeff always telling it like it is. You know, coming into the day, an opportunity to clinch another series win, but now just looking like, hey, at least we avoided the sweep. Before we jump into the show, a shout out to today's sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Yes, we will jump into the ninth inning because this team did not do anything for the first 8 innings, and I was getting ready to, I was quite conflicted because you might be able to tell by my voice, I am bummed out. I think most people are about the Willie Mays news, but I was also fired up about this game. That Jo Adell error that we will get to really angered me. Taylor Ward earlier in the game, a couple strikeouts really angered me, and obviously the lack of a offensive performance for the first 8 innings really angered me, but in the ninth, the Angels show not only a little bit of life, not like they did against the Giants when they're down 13-2 and they score 4 runs to lose 13-6. Not like that. I'm talking about being down 6-0 and literally coming inches away from coming all the way back. In case you missed it, Hernandez came in for Paredes for the Brewers, and Logan O'Hoppe continues to be great for the Angels. He led off the bottom of the ninth inning with a double. A wild pitch got him to third. Then we had a Brandon Drury strikeout. He continues to slowly work his way back from that injury. Then we had Zach Neto come just inches from a 2-run home run, absolutely crushing one down the line, but then he responds on the next pitch and rips a line drive into center field. That would score O'Hoppe, and O'Hoppe would be scored on the wild pitch right before that, but Neto would single, Payamps would come in for Hernandez, but the rally would continue. Mickey Moniak doubled on a line drive to right field. Good to see Moniak overcome some earlier struggles in the game. He's slowly getting closer and closer to being even a slightly below average hitter, not a miles below average hitter. And then easily the worst player of the game for the Angels, Jo Adell, continues his offensive struggles by grounding out. At this point, the Angels are down 6-1. The ground out does score Zach Neto. You're thinking, okay, it's 6-2, but you can't really afford to be trading outs for runs when you're down 5 runs. But then the rally continues. 6-2 becomes 6-3 thanks to a Nolan Shanuel single that scored Mickey Moniak. And now all of a sudden, It is 6-3. Luis Rengifo is up with the runner on second. You're thinking maybe he can get a base hit. That would make it 6-4. Then you got the tying run on base. What does he do? He has a fantastic at-bat, works it to a full count, fouls off a slider away from the zone, or on the outside corner, and then he takes a sinker outside. So now the tying run is up in Taylor Ward. The Brewers bring in Medjo to replace Piamps, and I think it's Piamps. I don't even know how you say it, to be honest. But Taylor Ward comes up with first and second, 2 outs, Angels down by 3. He's the tying scorer, runner, hitter, everything, the tying player for the Angels. And it had been a rough game for Taylor Ward coming into this one. 2 strikeouts, one at a costly moment where it was first and second, nobody out, and Taylor Ward struck out, and that really infuriated me. I think a lot of people have been upset with Taylor Ward for a while. His lack of consistency hitting, really awful June. He's 4 of 46, I think I heard, so far in the month of June. He's been awful. We know he provides nothing in the field, and that's what bothers me is when you don't do one thing, you got to excel at the other. Don't worry, I'm going to get into that with Jo Adell later in this show. But Taylor Ward, first and second, 2 outs, a chance to be the hero, to overcome an 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts start to the game. He did have a walk, but otherwise 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Coming into this at bat, a chance to overcome all of that, outshine all of those mistakes, and to be fair, he almost did. He almost did. He took 2 strikes to start the at-bat. One of them looked like it was a little bit outside, but they gave him the call. He takes a good pitch, a knuckle curve in the dirt for ball 1. He fouls off a fastball high and away, and then he gets a fastball, 97 miles an hour, basically 98, right down the middle. And off the bat, I thought he got it. The announcers thought he had it. I thought he had it, and to be fair, he technically had it. It was enough to get out. 99.9 off the bat, 384. That certainly gets out in some parks without even a chance to leap and rob it. But at the Big A, it's right at the wall at 384. And Sal Frelick makes an unbelievable play. I know robbing a home run, I know people debate how, is that really an A++ play, or is it just a matter of the ball has to be in the perfect spot and you have to time it? Is it really just timing it? No. This was a great play. Given the moment, given it would have tied the game, given he really had to leap up and make that catch, Frelick made a great play. He certainly robbed it. It certainly, I think, would have been a home run. The Angels did challenge it just because, obviously, it's the last out of the game. He might as well. But there was no debate about this one. It was what would have been a home run. Robbed, certainly. Certainly robbed. And just a heartbreaker. It would have erased, it would have erased what was, and maybe hid what was really an awful performance, let's be honest, by the Angels in just about every phase of the game. Griffin Canning wasn't great. The fielding had great moments like you can see in the rundown, but also had awful moments. And the offense obviously did nothing until the 9th inning. But, all I want is for games to be close. We got that. All I want is for the occasional win here and there. We know the number one priority, like I keep saying, young guys improve, old guys do enough to get traded. And this would have been one of those situations where Taylor Ward has been awful. But hey, he gets a big home run. Of course, the trade value goes up a little bit. But above all else, let us go into extra innings. Let us have an amazing comeback. Let us have some fun. Let us win another series. Let us build on something. But instead, Heartbreak City. Absolute Heartbreak City. Really thought that was a game winner from Taylor Ward, let's be honest. And how fitting, I guess, obviously not rooting for this, but how fitting that on a day where we lose Willie Mays, a Willie Mays-esque play, an unbelievable play in an unbelievable moment is made in center field. I guess that is a little bit fitting. One more time, shout out to everybody in here. Daniel in here, as always, he says, happy Tuesday. He also says, Dodgers came back, yo. Yeah, that was a crazy one. I think I saw the score was, I want to say 7-3 or something at one point, and the next thing you know was 11-9 or something. I don't know the exact score, but I do know the Dodgers came back. Jeff saying, I really hope that they being us Angels, beat those Dodgers Friday and Saturday. I certainly hope so as well, and hopefully when they do, I can celebrate it on the postcast with you all. But once again, Angels fall short 6-3, and they literally come within inches of a 6-run comeback 9th inning to would have at least force extra innings. Maybe you win it in the bottom of the ninth, given all that momentum. But instead, Sal Frelick jumps up at the wall and robs a game-tying 3-run shot from Taylor Ward. So the Brewers beat our Angels 6-3. The Angels back to 15 games under 500. When we come back from our first break, we will discuss a polarizing defensive showing because Griffin Canning wasn't great, but there were a couple fantastic plays in the field, and there was also an infuriating mistake in the field. So when we come back from our first break here, I, Gavin Carlson, will actually introduce myself, and we'll tell you about all that. And, of course, we will end the show honoring Willie Mays. But we will do all of that after our first break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Today's show is brought to you once again by Game Time. Now, it's kind of not emotional, but a unique day to talk about me. I've already talked about in the past going to Giants games growing up and what an experience that was, what an experience it is for any young kid to go to a sporting event, what an experience it is for a family, for an adult, for anybody to go to a sporting event. I always tell the story of being in the summer, not knowing what to do on a random Tuesday during the day, and then deciding last minute, you know what? I'm going to buy a ticket at the last second, and I'm going to get a great deal and go to the game. And that's exactly what Game Time is all about. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, and it makes getting tickets faster and easier. Here's the key. Like I said, prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. So if you're like me, if you have nothing to do and last minute you decide you want to go to a game, well, guess what? Early bird doesn't get the worm in this case. You actually get rewarded. There's so many great features with Game Time. The last minute deals, like I said, you save up to 60% off by buying last minute, not just for sports, but concerts, comedy, theater, and more. There's flash deals, which have exclusive in-app deals on select seats. Zone deals save even more when you choose a section and let the Game Time app choose the seats specifically. So if you just want to sit in a section, but you don't really care where, you'll get a discount on that. There's so much more. You can get a view of your seat from the app before you buy a ticket. There's Game Time ticket coverage, which is like its own form of insurance, so much more, and the lowest price guarantee. So if you want to take advantage of all of that, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And today's show is also brought to you by the fantastic people at Supply House. Now, you've heard me say it before, and I'll say it again. If you want to order supplies from the website that's made for the skilled trades, find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple of clicks at supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with fast delivery from anywhere in the U.S. or to anywhere in the U.S., Need help with an order? Get industry-leading after-sales service from the friendly and knowledgeable customer support team. And here's the key, talk to a real person every time. And there's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals can join their free TradeMaster program for free shipping and serious discounts on every order. Over 100,000 pros already trust the TradeMaster program to deliver results. Apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at supplyhouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. We are back on the Locked On Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast on a very emotional day for the entire game of baseball, for all of Major League Baseball, on a day where baseball legend and true hero Willie Mays passes away. The Angels fall 6-3 to the Brewers on a Willie Mays-esque unbelievable catch in center field by Sal Frelick, robbing Taylor Ward of a 3-run shot and robbing the Angels of a 6-run, 9-inning comeback. Shout out to everybody in here. We already talked about Jeff and Daniel. Roger saying that is the best swing Taylor has had in a week. Yes, it is. Yes, I am bummed. This team has a lot of fight. I think Ward's back is bothering him. I am not going to kick Ward. Calhoun is not a run producer. Calhoun certainly struggled in this one, but so did many players. We'll talk a little bit later about the offensive struggles, but I want to talk about the defense because this was a really polarizing performance from the defense. And you've heard me say it so many times. I'm not asking or expecting this team to win every game. I'm not even expecting them to win every other game. We know that at this point, this team is 15 games under 500. But what I'm asking for is people to excel in what they are good at and constantly improve in what they are bad at. And this brings me to Jo Adell, because Jo Adell right now can't do anything. He can't do anything. He once again has, it seems like, the stat line every single night for him. 0 for 4. He's hitting ninth now. This guy is hitting ninth now. And in a stat line that seems like every single game, it is the stat line. Jo Adell goes 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Thank goodness in the ninth inning, he gets a cheap RBI on a ground ball, a ground out. But let's be honest, in that moment, that's not the productive run that it looks like on the stat sheet. You're down by 5 when Jo Adell does that. You need a hit. You don't need a ground out for a run. So I'm not even giving him credit there for a productive out. That's not a productive out. But Jo Adell, 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. He's now hitting 187. There was a time when this guy had the highest OPS against lefties in all of Major League Baseball. And right now, that same guy is 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Again, and is hitting 187. He's hitting 187. It's time. It is time. I declare it is time to sit Jo Adell down. And that's because 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts is not the worst thing he did tonight. Think about that. This team stinks. We know that. But do your role. Nolan Schanuel is a contact hitter. He goes 3 for 4. Luis Rengifo, he's a contact on-base guy. Not the best game from him, but 1 for 4 and a walk. Taylor Ward's a hitter. We were going to rip into him, let's be honest. I was going to rip into him for having an awful game, but he also got robbed of what would have been an unbelievable, game-tying home run. But guys like Zach Neto, Logan O'Hoppe, even Mickey Moniak are doing their role while being young players, while improving at parts they're not great at. Mickey Moniak used to go 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Now he's going 1 for 4 with an extra base hit and a strikeout. Okay, it's slightly better. There's improvement. He's also an above-average glove. Jo Adell right now is not above average at anything. He's not average at anything, and he's honestly slightly below average in only one thing and extremely below average in another. He is a extremely below average hitter. 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts, 187. And right now, despite being the most athletic player probably on the whole team, despite being a guy who has the potential to be a Gold Glove level player at right field, he can't even field a ground ball off the wall. He can't even do that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, after a couple great defensive plays, because there were a couple great defensive plays, but after those, an absolute joke of a play from Jo Adell in the top of the 4th inning. At this point, the score is already, let me check. At this point, the score is already 2-0. That's right. Griffin Canning, an okay start, giving up 2 runs already in the first 3 innings. Top of the 4th, he strikes out Rhys Hoskins. He gets Joey Ortiz on a flyout. 2 outs, nobody on. Gives up a single to Sal Frelick, who ends up being the hero of the game. Gives up a single to Gary Sanchez. And now it's 1st and 2nd with 2 outs. Okay. The pitcher did a great job to get 2 outs. He did a not-so-great job to give up back-to-back singles. But what happens next is infuriating. And I know that if Jo Adell plays this differently, it's not like the Brewers still don't score any runs. But it's still infuriating. It's still infuriating. And in a game where the Angels fall just short in a comeback, it ended up meaning a lot, this mistake. Jackson, I think it's Chourio. I'm not sure, to be honest. But Jackson Chourio hits a ground ball down the right field line, down the first base line, just gets by Nolan Schanuel, and it's down the right field line. It goes off the wall. And ironically, very similarly to what happened with the Angels, when they had a hit down the line and it was misplayed, and what should have been a double turned into a triple for Luis Guillerme, they ended up ruling it a triple and not an error. So some people are saying, wait, should this not be ruled an error? No. I think the other one was an error. I think this is an error. You got a few roles as a corner outfielder. Have a decent arm so you can try to make a throw, throw someone out at the plate on a ground ball base hit, on a sac fly, have decent range, and be able to play balls off of walls. I wouldn't say that right field porch is that complicated. There are certainly harder corner outfields in Major League Baseball. And yet, Jo Adell completely misses it and allows Churro, allows Jackson to turn a double into a little league inside the park home run. I think 1 run scores if he doesn't make that play. If he doesn't make that mistake. An average fielder maybe fields it a little awkwardly and it becomes a bang play for Gary Sanchez going from first to home, because that's who was going from first to home. Of course, Frelick is going to score from second on that, of course. But Gary Sanchez is about as slow as it gets in Major League Baseball. He's at first base. I'd say even an average fielder probably makes the play. But I'll be generous and say an average fielder maybe struggles with it a little bit, still gets the ball in, and has a legit play at throwing out Gary Sanchez. But not Jo Adell. Not the guy who's already giving you nothing with the bat. Not the guy who still kind of regularly makes a mistake running on the bases. This same guy also completely misplays the ball. It gets away from him. Gary Sanchez easily scores from first. And to be honest, Jackson Chourio easily scores from the batter's box. Pretty easily. And it might not seem like a big deal in the moment because the Angels are already down 2-0. A run is already going to score on the base hit, making it 3-0. And maybe it's a bang play for Gary Sanchez at home to make it 4-0. But because of mistake, it's definitely 4-0 and definitely 5-0. And the Angels, sure, they lost by 3. But if Taylor Ward comes up and it's 4-3 Brewers with 2 outs, who knows what happens? Who knows what happens in the few innings that follow? Because how many times do I have to say that this team, more than most, is a momentum type of team? There's not veterans who can flip a switch at any moment if the vibes are bad and turn things around. This is a team that the second a boneheaded play like this happens, they roll over. And that's exactly what happened. This was the 4th inning, and the Angels did nothing. Sure, they did nothing in the first 3, but the Angels usually don't do stuff in the first 3, let's be honest. It's usually around the 6th or 7th inning we see something from them, and they didn't do that tonight because the vibes are just killed. When your right fielder, who can't do anything when he hits, can't even field the ball, and gives up probably 2 runs due to his mistake. These are the types of things that infuriate me. Not losing close games. If you told me that the Angels were going to lose 6-3, I'd say, okay, they're the Angels. They're 15 games under 500. They have nobody on the roster. But if you would tell me that the Angels gave up 2 runs because Jo Adell can't field the ball off a wall, that is what annoys me. That is what annoys me. And it was an otherwise awful performance from the lineup. Pretty awful. The 9th inning will hide a lot of that. The Angels somehow end up with more hits than the Brewers, but they commit 3 errors. 3 errors. And that's why it's a mixed defensive performance. I did not even get to say the good things that happened. I will quickly do them before I take my last break here, because there could have been more runs scored, and that's why Griffin Canning certainly did not have a great game. But, in the top of the 3rd, in the top of the 2nd, Gary Sanchez grounds one out to shortstop, Zach Neto, of course, and Joey Ortiz tries to go home, and Zach Neto throws him out pretty easily, to be honest. Pretty poor decision to go home, but Neto makes a great play, throws it to O'Hoppe, and they get the tag. That was in the top of the 2nd. Then in the top of the 3rd, Bryce Terang tries to steal home because there's a little double steal action. Willie Mays tries to steal from first. O'Hoppe gets up, throws it to Drury, and Drury doesn't even think about tagging out Adames. He instead immediately grabs the ball, throws it to home, and catches Bryce Terang trying to do a little double steal action, that classic 1st and 3rd situation. And good awareness by Brandon Drury because there's 2 outs there. And so Drury could say, oh, with 2 outs, no, I'm still just going to try to make this tag at second. No, he has the awareness to go, no, the play is at home. And he makes a great play. And it made up for an error earlier in the inning for him. So that's what I mean. Knowing what you can do, contributing something. Brandon Drury right now, struggling to hit. He just got back. But at least he makes an error in the field. He makes up for it. And let's be honest, is he even really 1 for 3 with a walk? I will take that from a guy who just got back. What I will not take is Jo Adell going 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts every game including tonight, and sprinkling in a boneheaded mistake in the field. That I will not take. So that was one of the 3 errors for the Angels. That's why the Angels lose by 3, despite having more hits than the Brewers. And that's why I am really angry on a day where I was just going to be kind of melancholy about the loss, about the passing of Willie, all that. But Jo Adell certainly found a way for me to still be aggravated. We will finally take our last break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'm Gavin Carlson. I haven't even said it yet. 4 years as a credentialed journalist in the Los Angeles area, and of course the Postcast host. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll turn the page on this game, and we will quickly, briefly honor the legend that we lost today in Willie Mays. We'll be right back. Now, today's show is finally brought to you by Prize Picks, as I try to quickly throw up the banner there so you can actually see it. There it is. Today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. I've said it so many times, and I will say it again. I love everything about Prize Picks, especially the fact that if you're looking for promotions, Prize Picks has got you covered every week. From lowering select players' stats projections on Tuesdays, which was today, or which increases your chance of winning, or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. That's just one of the many ways that Prize Picks has your back. One more time, on Tuesdays, if someone was projected to get 2 hits, they'll lower it to 1 hit, something like that. On Tuesdays, they call them Taco Tuesdays. And on Fridays, you get a free Money Friday play where, say you make a Prize Pick slip and it does not hit, you get your money back for that one. That's pretty friendly. And that is why there's over 5 million people that regularly play fantasy sports on Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy app. So if you want to get in on the daily action with your friends and me and become part of the Prize Picks community today, that community of over 5 million active members, download the Prize Picks app and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. One more time, if you want all those promotions like free lineup Fridays, Taco Tuesdays, and everything else, and join me and 5 million other active members, download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for another promotion, a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. Join me because it's that easy. We are back here on the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live on the Locked On Los Angeles YouTube channel in what was certainly a sad day in Major League Baseball. It was sad to be an Angels fan because the Angels did lose 6-3 on a heartbreaker. Taylor Ward's what would have been game-tying 3-run home run in what would have been a 6-run comeback in the 9th inning falls just short because his home run was robbed at the wall. But before the game even started, or maybe it was during, I don't remember, the entire baseball community, the entire world learned of the sad news of the passing of Willie Mays. And this one certainly hit home for me, like I said at the beginning of the show. I am from the Bay Area. I grew up going to Giants games. I grew up playing baseball in the Bay Area. I actually have a signed baseball by Willie Mays because I think I won some sort of award for baseball in my area. And, of course, if there's anyone you aspired to be when you played baseball, really in the whole world, in the whole country, but especially in the Bay Area, it was Giants legend Willie Mays. In case you somehow don't know about all the accomplishments of this man, 2-time MVP, but get this, 24-time All-Star, 12-time Gold Glove Award winner, which ties Roberto Clemente for the most ever, by the way, and a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And it's, fitting, I guess, to some degree, but also kind of a bummer, really, the timing of this, because, of course, on Thursday, the Giants were supposed to play the Cardinals, or they still are, of course, but they're going to play the Cardinals at Rickwood Field in Alabama, where Willie Mays started his career in the Negro Leagues. And I don't think Willie Mays was going to be there or anything. He obviously is older, but certainly he would have been honored regardless. He's one of the main names that made that ballpark famous, that made the Negro Leagues famous, that made black baseball players famous and respected. So certainly he would have been probably the main focus, one of the main focuses of that game. And I don't know if it's a good thing. I mean, it's never a good thing, of course, but I don't know how the timing of this affects that because he was already going to be talked about. But now the entire game, the entire week will be about Willie Mays, as it should be. You know what? Maybe it's fitting. Maybe it's right that entire game will be about Willie Mays, because arguably no one in baseball has had the impact that Willie Mays has, not only being one of the greatest, if not the greatest player in baseball history. Certainly it's up for debate. In terms of all-around player, I think he is. I heard some stat, I think they might have said it on the Angels broadcast, that if you combined to this point in their careers, the career of Mookie Betts with the career of Bryce Harper, two of the greatest outfielders of our generation, if you combine both of their careers, Willie Mays would still have more hits, more home runs, more RBIs. He'd have more runs saved, more defensive runs saved. I mean, all around, there's probably not a better baseball player than Willie Mays in the history of the sport, and there might never be. There probably will never be. So that alone is a big enough reason for this to be a huge loss, but you don't even get to everything he meant outside of that. Like I said, Presidential Medal of Freedom for Willie Mays. He famously served in the war with the U.S. Army. He served his country from 1952 to 1953. Just everything about him. Beloved in the Bay Area where I'm from. You know, Barry Bonds was giving his tributes. Of course, the current Giants players were giving their tributes. Derek Jeter, just everybody, all the legends knew that above all legends, Willie Mays was the legend. And, you know, hits home for me being from the Bay Area, growing up, being a baseball player, looking a little bit like Willie Mays, right? Certainly did something for athletes of color, someone to look up to as well. But just anybody who liked baseball loved Willie Mays. Anybody who liked good people, right, loved Willie Mays. And so really a bummer of a day, losing the legend, losing him on a week where he was probably going to be honored. But hopefully he's been honored enough to where he was able to see it and know how much he means to the baseball community and the sports world. And yeah, it'll be really, certainly it was already going to be must-see TV on Thursday, but it'll be even more must-see TV when the Giants take on the Cardinals in that special game, honoring the Negro Leagues, and certainly honoring not only the best black baseball player of all time, but the best baseball player of all time, in my opinion, and the opinion of many, in Willie Mays. So I know it's a postcast. I know I'm supposed to talk about the Angels game, but I did. And I felt like, you know, I had to end this show by talking about the legend that is Willie Mays and everything he meant to the game of baseball, to myself, to anybody else who loved the Giants, who loved, you know, baseball as a whole. So shout out to Willie Mays. Rest in peace. Prayers to his family. And yeah, on that note, I know it's kind of a very rare ending for things to be sad. Even when the Angels lose games, I am not sad. I'm normally just fired up and angry, and I'm certainly annoyed about this game. It certainly infuriated me when Jo Adell made the mistake. It certainly infuriated me when Taylor Ward had a couple bad swings in key moments, and it certainly was a heartbreaker when the Angels were robbed of an amazing comeback, because boy, what a comeback it would have been. But above all else, bummed about the loss of Willie Mays. Once again, rest in peace to him, and shout out to all of you in here. Leave your comments, leave your likes. You know, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Kind of a weird way to end a postcast, I'm not going to lie. So trying to find the right way to transition. But shout out to all of you. Shout out to everybody in this community who has continued to show support. Really, really appreciate all of you. And like I said, exciting things coming for the postcast. I promise you. Have some more time on my hand now that I've officially graduated college, and things are only going to go up from here. There's going to be better graphics. The thumbnails are going to look better. There's going to be cooler transitions. All of that stuff is coming in the next few days and the next few postcasts. So be on the lookout for that. Certainly a big series just emotionally for Angels fans with the Dodgers coming to town soon enough. But for all that being said, Angels lose this one 6-3 on a heartbreaking ninth inning. Shout out to everybody in here. Shout out to all of the Angels fans for sticking by this team, just like myself. And please, please, please be back here tomorrow, because I certainly will be after tomorrow's Angel game, just like I'm here after every Angels game. So, Gavin Carlson signing out. Angels lose this one. Hopefully they can get a series win tomorrow. That would be back-to-back series wins for our Angels. Hopefully they can do it. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care.